All righty, let's get right into it. Thank you all for being here on this beautiful morning we have. I'm not sure how the weather is where you guys all are, but I'm out here in beautiful Miami and it is a sunny day. But let's get right into it. And today we are going to go right into discussing a lot of GearBox, but we need to first start off with this risk disclosure. And again, if you're tuning in live on Zoom, awesome. If you are on Facebook or YouTube, still tell us where you're calling in from, put the engagement there. It's awesome to have you here. But trading the foreign exchange market carries a high risk and it may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin and utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk, and it can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. Before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or use any of our software or alerts products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, your level of experience, and your risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain a significant loss. You should not invest or trade any capital that you cannot afford to lose. It is, again, your responsibility to be aware of and understand all the risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you do have any doubts. Auvoria Prime LLC does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade. Now, if you're going to be sharing any of your results from using GearBox, which again is only allowed in our designated Facebook groups, please do not use the term company recommended settings. Auvoria Prime does not have any recommended settings. Auvoria Prime is not a financial advisory firm. Auvoria Prime licenses software that users can use however they want at their own risk and discretion. GearBox does come without the box settings upon initial setup, but customers do have the ability to customize their settings however they would like. Auvoria Prime has nothing to do with customers' broker account. We do not solicit or take investments, and no brokers are recommended. Again, Auvoria Prime just licenses software and sells amazing education that users can learn and potentially benefit from. Any settings I am sharing are developer settings and not company recommended settings. This call is for educational purposes only. All right, so now that we've gotten into that, let's go ahead and get right into GearBox and outlook on the week. What's going on? I know we have some brand new users that maybe have come in and crushed it. We've had some users that have maybe been in trades for the past few weeks. I myself can tell you on my 24, 25 pair accounts, right, that I have been noticing that I have been stuck in some pairs, especially my accounts that allow 3 max pairs trading. I have been stuck in some trades for a few weeks, honestly. There's been some that I've been stuck in for almost 3 weeks now, and we're going to take a look at some of those. Some of those have started to swing. You can see I actually have hit new peaks of drawdown on all of my accounts actually this week. As the market was doing some brutal things the past few weeks. It has definitely been going one direction and not been making many moves. And we've started to see some of those overextended periods in the market start to come back or do what they need to. But let's just take a look at my largest account I have live here running my own. You see I did hit a higher percent drawdown than I'm really comfortable with. I'm not very comfortable on a large account with this level of drawdown. And where this drawdown actually came from was NZD JPY. And so I went and I looked at NZD JPY. You can see right now the drawdown is not that bad, but it hit all the way up of like 5,800 drawdown on a $52,000 account. For me, I personally like to always stay under 10%. That's really my goal on a larger account. So maybe, we might look if we go back to, say, some of these one pair accounts. I'm going to open a new tab here. And we can go back and we can look at NZD JPY, and you can see on this little $500 account, as you see, I run the swing settings, our earliest entry settings on many of these currency pairs to get great data on them and forward test them and see at all times what they're doing. And NZD JPY, you can see, yeah, it recently took on this little $500 account a 33% drawdown, which that tells me that NZD JPY moved a little bit more than it normally does, especially when we study a lot of the forward data that had existed here, right? It wasn't tending to move that far. You see, there was occasional times where it did. And right now, this would be one of those occasional times where it went, even farther than Super Sniper, right? Where an entry, it went, here, I see some entry sixes on this. So NZDJPY had some larger moves in the market. And that's one thing I took from last week, right? We're doing a recap of the last week, what's been going on in the markets. And I wanted to recap that. Studying this pair, I might want to go ahead and, because of that move, I might want to increase my gears higher, right? And that's what we really run these one pair accounts for, is to study that data and decide, do we have the proper entries or should they be more, right? Or maybe we look at AUD USD. All right, AUD USD, same thing on a swing account. That's just too early of an entry for a high moving pair still for AUD USD. Sniper's definitely better. Super Sniper for AUD USD, even more incredible. And you know, I know we have some users that what they've started to do is they've started to run different strategies and different currency pairs, right? They've started to study and go, okay, on these ones I'm going to run Super. On these ones I'm going to run Sniper. On these, you know, they go through and they've been deciding based on some of my data how they want to interact with some of the different currency pairs. And you know, we'll get into Q&As near the end, but I just want to continue to recap the market, how some of these pairs performed over the following weeks, since I know some people did get into higher drawdowns the past few weeks, getting stuck in some trades. I wanted to review how we felt about some of those entries, right? Maybe on swing GBP USD, same thing. Anything on these $500 accounts, what I'm looking at is if any of these get into over a 20% drawdown on a $500 account, a single currency pair, in that case, I'm really going to be looking to say, okay, should we move those entries, right? And that's why the swing is what I run here. So we can get the earliest entry, get the immediate feedback to see, okay, are these right? How would Sniper have performed, right? If we skipped another entry, what would this drawdown have been like? Or would that still have been too much, right? In which case do we need to increase swing, Sniper, and Super, right? So this gives us a lot more forward data going forward weekly to decide how we feel about many of these pairs. Same thing, like I said, GBP USD, you see, recently had over 20%. And the other thing I look at is I'm going to be looking to see, does the profit outweigh the drawdown, right? That's typically how I want my strategy to look like. And that's how you should want your strategies to look like that you're trading with. You want your risk to reward to be proper. And the thing with a lot of softwares is risk to reward isn't proper. So my goal has always been to look at an FX book and look at analytics and design strategies where that makes sense, where does the monthly profit outweigh the potential monthly drawdown? And, you know, when that's not happening, okay, then maybe we need to advance things a little bit more. And that's why we have all this data on these different currency pairs to continue to decide, advance, and optimize even further. Now let's take a look back into, you know, this larger 40K account. I guess I had it right here. You can see it's had its drawdown, but it's still making its profit. It's doing its thing. It's still doing an average a monthly over 10%. That's really good to me. Now, the big thing I always want to look at when I said, what's the risk to reward? I like to look at analytics. All right. Is the average win bigger than the average loss? And on a lot of products, you'll see that that's, oh, wow. You don't see screen? I just realized none of you guys have been seeing the screen. That is not good. What happened there? Do you see it now? How did we lose the screen sharing and when did that happen? All right. Well, we're back. So I'm going to take a look back at the one pair accounts here, like we were talking about. Let me just read the chat box real quick. All right. Everybody's asking. All right. All righty. Here we go. All right. I'm back, everyone. We will go ahead and we will rewind this thing. We can start from NZDJPY. Is that where we lost everyone? Or where did the screen cut? Did you guys see the screen at one point? Just everyone let me know where the screen cut out so I can have an idea of where to cut back here. From the get-go, someone says, all right, well, let's just kick it off from the get-go. We'll go back from the risk disclosure. So we're going to get into a recap of the week, kind of look at the market, what's been going on, and actually take a peek to look at some different analytics, see exactly how the market's performed. I know some people have set up in the past week or two and gotten some awesome trades, made some awesome profits. Some people that maybe set up a few weeks ago might have been stuck in some consolidating periods in the market, or even some trending moves where the market was still going against their GearBox entries. And I want to address some of the currency pairs, the data, and discuss this a little bit. So the first thing we're going to notice is I'm going to go ahead and also pull up here my other accounts. And what you're going to notice is on many of these accounts, you'll see that I've reached a higher drawdown on many of them in the past 2 weeks than I had in the past 4 months, right? And for me, that made me go look at the data and say, all right, what's exactly happening here? Because for me, anytime we get into a higher drawdown, right? In this case, my 50K account got a 12% drawdown, and anything over 10%, I don't tend to like, to be completely honest with you. So I wanted to go in and take a look at that. I wanted to look at the different data, and what I saw first off on that account was NZD-JPY was carrying the majority of the drawdown. So I went back to my single one pair accounts that we have running here. And, these are all $500 balance accounts. There's still a few more I need to connect and get running. And some others that people have requested to start tracking data on, which I will be doing. But I wanted to go back and look at some of this data and see what was going on. And I saw NZD-JPY put this little $500 account in a 33% drawdown on swing settings, of course, but still, when you see something like that, that tells me, okay, we have a bit of an issue, right? That's, to me, I'm going to go, okay, we should look at data and go back and say, should we raise this? And so if we go back and look at this data, you'll see NZD-JPY has never really gone that far that often, right? It's very rare that it does take a move like that, but it has had a move to a Gear 9 before. And we're kind of experiencing something similar right now with that pair, where it's going up here in these higher ranges past even the super sniper entry. So when things like that happen, you have to go and say, okay, should we raise that entry or not? And that's kind of up to you to decide. For me personally, I think I would, right? That's, my personal preference back looking at data, that if something like that happens, typically it's a good sign that, hey, maybe we should increase that. And that's why we track all these accounts. So when I look at these accounts, I'm also going to look at any of them that get into over a 20% drawdown, and I'm going to contemplate the same thing, such as AUD USD. All right, on a swing setting, it got in a 23% drawdown. And to me, on a $500 account, that makes sense because, on a swing, you're still only entering in a Gear 2, and AUD USD, even though it hasn't had as crazy of moves, it still moves and it's still moving. So possibly you could increase your entry there, or you could say, okay, maybe under 25% I'd be comfortable with here, in which case, same thing with GBP here. It's gotten into a 22% drawdown on this little $500 account running the swing settings. And when I look at the data, overall, my goal is to try to continue to customize and design settings where the risk to reward is proper. And when I say risk to reward, my focus in risk to reward is to make sure that typically the monthly profit is going to outweigh the monthly drawdown. I really am looking to try to outweigh a lot of that oftentimes. So when we go into looking at some of my other accounts here, we'll go in and we can see that I reached a higher drawdown as well on one of these accounts, at 20% on a 10K. And that, again, I'm not very comfortable with. Well, what pair was that, right? What carried most of that drawdown? And in this case, if we actually go look at the history, again, this is in the NZD space and USD CAD. So if we sort by symbol here, you'll see USD CAD's carrying a lot of it, and so is NZD USD. And if we're going to go back and take a peek right into these accounts, the one pair accounts, we'll take a look. NZD USD, same thing. It got into a bit of a bigger move, right? And same with USD CAD. Now they're not that high of drawdown still, but they're making a larger move even on their swing entry here, in which case you could maybe say the reward should be higher as the drawdowns. Yep. And that's really the big focus, is to have it where your risk to reward is there. Now, when I go back and take a look at some of these accounts, even this 10K one, I'm still going to be looking at my average win and my average loss. And in this case, yeah, I got into a higher drawdown here, but my average win's been 58 pips. My average loss was 1 pip, which means it's probably something I closed manually a few times, or it was one of those ones that was just early on in the entry. But if we go look at, this 40K, same concept here. My average loss 27, my average wins 50, and you really want to take a look at that. You also want to focus on the profit factor. A lot of these can help you decide if a strategy is very solid, regardless of a potential move against it, such as this. Really studying the data and the analytics can tell you a lot, such as best trades, worst trades, best trade pips, and your worst trade pips. And then, as like I've mentioned, some people have gotten into the market the last week, 2 weeks, come in, made some great profit. Others have been stuck in some of these moves that I as well have started to get stuck in. And I've seen some start to swing this week. Many others have kind of been stuck. And that is something that does happen occasionally. But what's very nice about GearBox is when these trades do swing, the profit is immaculate because you're oftentimes not carrying any losing trades, right? You're carrying a lot more winning trades than you are losing when you look at history with these different strategies, meaning that really the profits outweighing the losses, and not just outweighing it in a small form and break even or little bit of profit, but in large forms. So Ken, great question. I said in here it's a good profit factor, and I'm going to get into Q&A at the end, but that question applies to right now. And one thing I've really learned about EAs is anytime you see a profit factor under 2, you oftentimes want to be a little more concerned in your risk management and making sure that you believe in the risk management of your strategy, because from anything I've studied, more than often with a profit factor less than 2, you're looking to get into trouble sometimes, or the EA eventually does get into trouble sometimes. But again, I'm not going to tell you that an EA with less than a 2 profit factor is not good. There's great EAs with less than a 2 profit factor. I use many myself that have less than 2 profit factor. But for me, you're typically going to want to see above a 2. That's really something I try to aim for in my strategies, my settings, any EA I use. I try to find settings that'll try to get it at least close to a 2 or on the higher end of that when it comes to the profit factor there. Now, we can keep going through a few different accounts, and then I'm going to show you guys some cool stuff we have coming. Talk about any of the questions you guys have, a little bit of the market for the week. And again, this was also a volatile week. For many people, remember, I hit some higher drawdown periods, but when we went through the week last week, and I still have it pulled up here, we faced on Monday OPEC meetings. These are big red folders. We've faced AUD red folders on Monday as well. GDP as well here in December 1st. And then we faced the Fed chair testifying for USD on Wednesday. And we also had NFP on Friday today. So, there's definitely some larger moves that have occurred in the market this week, which has actually been great for GearBox for brand new users. If you're somebody who has possibly been in for some trades for a few weeks or in a similar situation to me, you're waiting for the swing. If you're somebody who got set up fresh on GearBox in the past week or two, you might have had a great week this week with some of these red folder events, which I know I saw some people commenting their weekly profit they made this week. And that's incredible. You guys came in and you got to see how it interacts with, red folder news, where most get stuck in trades. Many people who came in brand new this week might have seen some great profits during these news events from some amazing swing entries that they were able to secure. Now let's go right back in to looking at some of this data. And I want to get into some Q&A, but before I do that, I want to show you guys, we are making some updates. We have, we're hoping to push a new version of GearBox out, hopefully this weekend, but we also are definitely going to be pushing a new version of the GearBox Manager out this weekend. And we've had some really requested features. People wanted, and I'm going to drag it on here fresh just so you guys can see it. We had a lot of requests to have a little more customization inside of the GearBox Manager. And what I mean by that is a lot of people wanted to be able to set their max pairs and their starting lot. And it seems it's not going to re-show me the text since let me just remove it entirely. That's the best way to do it here. It doesn't seem to want to fall off the chart right now. Well, in essence, you're going to be able to put your starting lot size right here and your max pairs right here. And when you hit your strategy, it's actually going to apply your starting lot and your max pairs to each chart for you. As well, a lot of people had reported messages about the experts when you applied the settings, getting a failed to apply message. There were two reasons for this. One was okay. One was you didn't do something right. The first thing is, oh, and I can actually see GearBox Manager isn't on the chart. Just the UI is still here. It actually did fall off. So let me drag her on. And this would be reason number one for why some people were not being able to successfully use the GearBox Manager. You're going to want to make sure that you have your proper boxes checked here. If you don't have those checked, that can affect you being able to use your GearBox Manager. Now, once you have your manager here and it's set up, you're going to be able to choose any of these strategies. So in this case, I'm just going to click Sniper, Ghost plus Real, and you're going to see in the experts now, it's not going to have all the extra failed messages and all that good stuff. It might freeze on me here. It's best to always use the manager when you don't have GearBox already running on charts. A first-time setup is always going to be the best. In fact, if you're ever changing strategies, sometimes the best thing you could do is actually go ahead and close all your other charts out and then reopen them and apply the strategy fresh. That'll always be the fastest way, but you can see here, it's gone ahead and it's applying the strategy to every single chart. You can see all these ones opening new ghost trades. And what we'll be able to go ahead and do is we're going to go confirm that everything is correct. It was very fast in this case. We'll take a pair like GBP AUD, and you can see gears above 5 and 6. You can see it set the starting lot and the max pairs trading. So I know this was a huge requested feature for people to be able to make changes at the week without having to open every chart to change their lot size and things along those lines. So again, you can go ahead and now you'll be able to get access to that this weekend. We're looking to push that out. The other cool thing why this makes the loader, or what we're going to call the GearBox Manager now, a little more efficient, is we actually hard-coded all the templates into the software itself so that it's not pulling templates trying to apply them. It's actually creating the templates to apply them to your charts when you hit the button. So it's a little more optimized. It should run a little faster as well and more efficiently, and you shouldn't see all the failed messages. And one other thing we're doing in our next updates is if you guys have noticed you've been getting spammed with some notifications of drawdown, we are going to make it to where it'll only send this notification once per currency pair, and it will not send it again until the next notification. That is being worked on in the next version. But let me go ahead. I'm glad I got to show you guys this, show you the updates to the manager we have coming, as well as more updates to the software. And I'll hopefully probably find in some of your guys' questions and answers some things in regards to that. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna open up the Q&A and the chat, and we're gonna go ahead and get into some of this here and answering many of your questions. So let me find the questions and answers, go back to the desktop. Here we go. The first question I see, it came from Norman here, and he said, why is the VPS so slow? And Norman, that is an incredible question. I want to answer this in the easiest and least technical way that people can understand possible. So just like any computer you buy, it's going to have a different processing power, a different amount of RAM, a different size hard drive. These VPSs, they are currently great VPSs, and they're very incredible. But GearBox itself is actually a very intensive EA. It has a lot of things going on at once, especially since it's running so many charts. You got to think you're running, anywhere between 7 to 25 currency pairs at any single time per terminal. So if you were even trying to run 1 or 2, 3 EAs, especially GearBox EAs on that VPS, it actually is currently bogging it down a lot, as it does have the processing power, in my opinion, to handle 2 gearboxes very responsibly. Where we believe it's getting bogged down is a bit of the RAM. So what we're doing is we are working with our VPS team to look at the different options for allowing an upgraded solution as well for those users who would like to have a faster, more powerful VPS. Maybe you're using 4 gearboxes, and right now you just can't do that on the current VPS. In which case we will, be planning to offer very, very soon upgraded VPS solutions for those users who are looking for a more powerful VPS or more robust VPS that has a lot more power in it and is much smoother with an intensive EA, such as the GearBox. All right. Norman asked, how can we close trades manually? Norman, if you ever want to close trades manually, you're going to want to make sure you close the entire sequence. So in this case, this is GBP USD. You don't want to just close 1 or 2 or 3, really. If you're going to close a trade, you want to close the whole sequence when it comes to closing trades. So if you are going to close trades, you could just do it this way, or there's also a video on how to do it on your mobile MetaTrader 4 inside the GearBox Telegram. And Seti, great question, says there only a Telegram only for GearBox? There is. Martin said reinstalling GearBox is cumbersome. Are we going to have to do this after every refresh? I'm not sure what you mean after every refresh. If you're talking in regards to the loader, you can change the strategy with it open, right? I just did it in front of you guys. It will be quicker and more likely to respond in a efficient manner with your current VPS solution. If when you want to actually go ahead and change your strategy, if you close out the charts and just reopen them and then apply it fresh. And, if you're not changing too many settings, it's pretty easy now that you're going to have the starting lot in your max pairs, and then you choose your strategy. But yeah, you can also just do this way as well, and it'll still apply with these open. It's quicker when you have nothing on the chart, because when you're trying to change your strategy, what the manager has to do is it has to actually remove GearBox from all of these charts itself and then reapply GearBox. Whereas if you just close all the charts, it only has to apply. So it's doing half the load of the work, if that makes sense. Stain, great question. Stain said, can you tell me what's going on with GearBox this week? I have 2 trades and 3 pairs were open. I set double TP and the TP is not the same for both trades. Yeah, Stain, we are aware of this. We've seen some reports, we've looked at some logs, and we are working on it. There is occasionally times where we see that one take profit in the sequence does not match the take profit of some of the other trades. It's not anything too dangerous or anything crazy, but we are immediately working on it, and it is one of the things being worked on currently. Andreas, great question. He said the time frame is normally the daily. That is correct. This one just has hour on it because I literally opened all of them to reset it up and didn't switch them to daily. But you can run hour, you can run 4 hour. It's the riskier decision because you will be playing both sides of the market in the Ghost server. So it is more likely that you could get into more trades or more exposure. Jeanette, incredible question. She said, so you recommend to X out each chart when we are selecting a different strategy? I wasn't doing that, so would like to do it right. Jeanette, it's not that I recommend doing it, it's just it will be faster and more efficient. If you close them out and just reopen the chart. Now, another thing is, please remember, if you're changing strategies midweek or you're changing settings midweek, it will reset your ghost gears. You really want to determine your strategy for the week in the beginning of the week and let GearBox do what it does. That's why we have the auto change of gears and all those things pre-configured, so you can really determine your strategy for the week and let it do its thing and come back and the next week review the market and decide how you want to run. We are working on ways to make it where it doesn't clear ghost trades on every settings change, maybe only the ones it needs to. But right now it does anytime you hit OK, change and reset the ghost gears. Tomislav, do you want to say that we have been more because of gear? Tomislav, I'm not sure what you're referring to. He says he hasn't had VPS access for 70 hours. I would put a support ticket in. That has nothing to do with GearBox. So if you're facing a VPS issue, I would get with the tech team for our VPS side of things. Let me get into the chat here. And back to the Q&A. All right. I see here in the Q&A. Rod, I'm not sure what you're asking. It'd be great if the manager could load platform with all 25 charts without having to do them individually. If you're talking about opening the charts themselves, you're going to have to open them always. Molly said, evaluating my GB accounts, EOD Thursday for market close on Friday. I put all pairs not currently in open trades on pause, so new trades would open. Molly, so you know how the new trades feature works. It will open new trades if you have an open real trade sequence. It's not no new trades, it's no new trends. So there's a big difference. No new trends equals that it will not open a new trend on that pair. If the sequence was hit where it would enter. Whereas, we don't have a no new trades. No new trades would be either balance protection being hit or you turning off auto trading. But in order to pause new trends, you could hit that pause button. But if you still have an open sequence on a pair and you hit pause, it will continue to take trades on that sequence to complete it. Simona said the charts need to be on the daily time frame, right? Simona, the daily is going to be the most conservative. It's what most of my testing is completely done on. The hour 1 and hour 4 charts are going to be the least accurate as they're getting a smaller reading on the market. So again, you can run hour 1 and hour 4 charts, but if you're looking for the most precise entries and most precise trade opportunities, I would stick to the daily time frame myself. Ijervo asked, is it necessary to keep the GearBox Manager chart open? Absolutely not. You do not need to keep it open. Once you've gotten your strategy running, you can go ahead and hit X on the chart. That is perfectly okay. Where did our Q&A go here? Oh, the Q&A disappeared on me. I see. It came over here. Cool. We have an anonymous attendee. They said, I got into my 3 max pairs Tuesday, CHF JPY, Euro USD with 1,000 plus sniper double TP, and hasn't taken profit or loss the whole week, but it has been in small DD the entire time. Is this common? Would it be okay to take the DD so I can take new pairs during the week? Anonymous attendee, what I have to tell you is this is what I've been discussing kind of here, right? My 50K account has been, in a similar spot, or if we study my $2,000 account here, you can see I've just kind of been lingering in some drawdown since November 19th, right? I've had a few weeks of just some lingering drawdown where you see most of the time GearBox tends to not really stay in drawdown that often. But when you do have a drawdown like that, it does happen, right? Here I had a drawdown from September 17th all the way till you see the 29th. So about the same time period, right? There's some times where you might get stuck in some trades for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? Or one currency pair. And it's all personal preference, how you decide to handle that move or how you decide to actually handle that trade, because when they swing, right? They're going to make their profit. I'll give you another example. I've had this $250 account. Where are we at here? And I've just been stuck in this one USD JPY trade since 11/17. Should I have probably just closed it when it was in profit for $5 at one point? Probably, right? But I didn't do that. I was waiting for my Ghost Plus real trade take profit. And, because of that, I've just kind of been stuck in it. There's plenty of times I could have closed it and gotten into a new pair because I only allow 1 max pair trading on this little 250 account. I've just been stuck lingering in this trade, which to somebody who just set up a small account, that's not going to be very exciting to them if they get stuck in it. So yeah, maybe if you want to see a new trade, and the drawdown isn't much of a loss, and you're saying, hey, screw this trade. I've been stuck in it for a week or two, and I have a very minimal loss, and I'd rather find a better trade opportunity. Then you could close it. But just as soon as you could close it is also as soon as maybe that currency goes and actually hits its take profit, and you could have made $10, $15, whatever it may be. In which case, if we study some of the history of this account, you'll see there's times we've closed trades, 70 pips here for $17, right? And actually a few trades back to back here, made some money, $22 profit on one of these ones here. It's very cool when some of these ones do swing. But in this case, since this is a single level trade, it actually wouldn't make that much money. You're typically going to make your most money with GearBox once it does have a second or third entry on a currency pair. A single entry will make you some money, but if you really study history and look at some of my FX books, you'll notice that when it gets that second or that third entry, that when it swings, that's where GearBox is making actually a lot of its money. It's not on that first sniper entry. It's once it goes against it just a little bit more. Once that swing comes, it really does some phenomenal things. Which I can give you an example of that here, just with the CHF JPY one. You see, okay, yeah, we had 3 entries. The first 2 closed for such a tiny profit, and then this thing netted, almost $20, like $19 on one trade setup it was in, and it got out of that one in about a week, right? Or that was the close date. I don't know actually what the open date. So no, yeah, this one was open for a little over 10 days, but look at the gain it had on this small account, $22 or $20 on a $250 account. That's almost 10% itself. So sometimes it's okay to wait out these trades. A lot of what GearBox is takes patience when you study the data or you look at things. And a lot of times that's what's going to drive people crazy about GearBox is the patience. Is it driving me crazy right now looking at my 124 pair 50K account that's just been stuck in trades? Absolutely. But I do know that when these trades here have their swing, it's going to be very nice, right? So, sometimes you just got to be patient and wait for it to get where you want it to go. I see Ken says waiting for GBP USD swing. Me too, Ken. I have an account. I'm waiting for that swing as well. I think that's actually, let's see which one that is here. I think it's my swing account actually here. Let's go right over here to my swing account. Is it that one? This one. Yep. This swing account, I'm in the same. I'm in some GBP moves. I had a higher drawdown on this swing account than I really like. But a lot of it's been GBP. I've just been in a nice GBP trade myself here on my swing account. And, that early entry will get you sometimes, and you just got to wait it out. But when it does what it does, you tend to be very happy. Let's keep reading down some of these here. All right. I see Matt Jazz says, because the NZD situation is better strategy for 20K account to have 0.01 start lot and 20 open trade pairs instead of max 3 open and 0.2 start lots. So Matt Jazz, this is a great question. I am actually running a demo. I haven't connected it to my FX book, but I have a $100,000 demo that I'm just running with a 0.01 starting lot size, and I'm letting all 25 pairs hit their entry on swing. Right now, what I can tell you is in a month's time, it has made $660 or something dollars, but in the current moment, it's also in $450 drawdown, waiting on swings on many of these pairs itself. Now, so yes, if that was a $1,000 account, it would have been up 60% in a month, but it'd also be in 45% drawdown in the current moment. So again, you kind of have to decide what your risk tolerance is, how you want to go about it. Personally, for me, I'm a big fan of not running more currency pairs, because the more currency pairs you're running, in my opinion, yes, you could keep the lot size low and it's similar exposure, but you're also exposing yourself to more currency pairs that could potentially be running at once that could have a black swan event. And, when the market has a major move, you're not talking about, just a few currency pairs typically moving. There's times where I've seen there was a random Tuesday, no red folder news about 6 months ago that 30 currency pairs moved 300 pips with no retracement, all at the same time almost. It was the most random thing I had seen, but that was one of those times where I said, this is where a max pairs trading feature could be the coolest thing. And that was actually when I added the max pairs trading feature to really limit your exposure in the market if a lot of entries were to hit. Rana said, with MAV, if you have not accepted any trades, will the software continue to present trade opportunities until you have your max number of pairs trading in your charts? Rana, actually, the MAV version will even send you notifications of new trades even when your max pairs is reached. Just if you approve them, it will not enter them. That's actually one of the cool things about MAV is let's say you are in 3 max pairs trading. That's and you already have your 3 deployed. Well, it'll still send you trade notifications if another currency pair meets your entry requirements. Now, of course, it won't enter it even if you approve it, but you'll still get the notification, which lets you know that there are other trade setups available as well. I think that is a very cool feature. Ken said you do not have to close out the whole sequence, do you? Ken, when you close trades manually, you typically want to close the whole sequence. The only reason you wouldn't close the whole sequence is if you wanted to close just one of the first trades for a loss. Like, let's say I just said, okay, I don't want to let this one run any longer. I'm going to close this one for a loss now, and I'll let these ones stay open. But if you start closing the bottom ones, that's not good. Don't do that because they're a balancing act. Remember, the way this works is a balancing act. If you look at my take profits, if we go to the GBP USD chart here in this example, so I can just give you a visual. Where are we at? Here we are. All right, you can see that these trades are going to close for a loss, but these two are going to close for a profit. And because these two close for a profit, it's going to balance out these 3. So you don't want to close these 2 prematurely. Otherwise, you're going to affect your ability to get out of these trades profitably. So you know, really, it's a balancing act. So you want to be sure when you're closing trades manually of what you're doing and not just closing trades out because they're blue and they look like they're pretty profit because they all have a specific sequence of events they need to run through. No, Jeanette, you would want to close from the top if you were closing. You don't close from the bottom, right? So yeah, you would close if you're going to manually close a trade, you don't want to close the ones that have entered that are already the least, right? The only time you would not close an entire sequence is if you were going to take a loss on an earlier trade, right? You don't want to necessarily close out any of these, right? That doesn't make any sense because again, remember the later trades in the sequence are balancing out your early trades that are at a loss. So again, you look right here, my take profits here, I'm going to sell 1 and 2 profit. These 3 close out at loss, but these 2's profit outweighs these 3's loss. So that's why they're all in a sequence like that. So you don't, if you're ever going to trade any manually in a sequence and you're not going to close the whole sequence, you only want to close early losses if you're just saying, I want to take the loss on that one, right? But most of the time you're going to want to wait for the entire sequence to actually take a closure. George, great question. He says, is there a way I could view Auvoria's past performance and say last 4 to 6 months? Okay, George, to answer this for you, Auvoria doesn't have a past performance. Auvoria Prime licenses software from different developers, such as myself and many of our other development teams. And then us as developers, we show how we're handling the tradings, how we're managing the software, and it's up to you to decide how you want to follow. Auvoria Prime does not have trading accounts that you can view, or for performance, they do not recommend any settings, any strategies themselves. Again, they simply license technology and provide amazing education on how to use that technology. Ejirvo, no, you don't. You never needed to drag and drop GearBox on all 24 pairs before using the manager. I'm not sure who told you you needed to do that, but I'll show you right now. if I close every single one of these pairs, which it's probably going to freeze for me trying to close them all here, but we're going to go ahead and try and get all these closed. We'll see when MT4 starts responding. It may not. I think it did. Yep, there we go. I can just reopen any of these currency pairs. So let's say AUD, NZD. You only need to technically drag GearBox on the first chart on a first setup to do your validation. But once you're validated, you don't actually typically need to validate again, in which case I don't even need to drag GearBox on a chart now. I just closed them all out. I want to change my strategy. I've already validated myself. I'm just going to go ahead and hit the button here again. And you'll see just like that, GearBox is applied. And I got my starting lot. I got my proper settings, right? Go to Euro AUD, it's correct, 5 and 6, right? Applied just like that. So again, you don't need to drag GearBox in each chart. You can just reopen the charts, put your starting lot and your max pairs in with the newest manager coming out, and you'll be good to go. I made a switch from Alexander to GearBox this past week, and the loader didn't populate automatically. So I manually dragged GearBox Mav onto every single 25 pairs. Is this the proper way of setting it up with the loader not populating? How do you know if it's installed? Cyrus, you're going to want to make sure that you have the proper settings, because if you just drag GearBox onto each chart and you don't change the settings yourself, what you're going to notice is that you're going to have pairs like Euro AUD where your entry is going to say 2 and 3, and that's way too early. You're going to want to make sure there's a video to match up your entries with inside the Telegram, and it should be getting added to the AP Academy too, to just make sure your gears above entries are proper. So on Euro AUD and GBP pairs, depending on your strategy, if it's sniper, you should see 5 and 6, right? So you're going to want to go check your GBP pairs and your Euro AUD pairs in that case, because you don't want to run those GBP pairs and Euro AUD with lower entries. You're just getting in the trades too soon. And if you go back and study the data, you can see that entering on a 3 on Euro AUD, I mean, that could be asking for a bad day if it goes to 12, right? If we go back and we take a look at GBP pairs, same thing. You enter on a 3 on GBP AUD, you could be asking for a bad day. Same with any of these GBP pairs. So you're going to want to make sure that you go ahead and check your entries and make sure that you have the proper entries for your strategy on each currency pair. Molly, great question. She said the smiley face consistently does not show up on GBP JPY chart when it's on all the other charts. We have noticed that, and that will be fixed, and it is addressed in the newest version of the manager that we are planning to push out this weekend, Molly. So no worries about that. Lance said these weekly Q&A really do help. I'm super glad to hear that, Lance. My goal is to just come with data every single week and help people better understand the GearBox strategy, how to use it, make sure you're set up properly and you're prepared for the weeks ahead. Morrow, great question. She said, if we reduce the number of charts, will it run faster? Absolutely. If you were to cut out some pairs that say you don't have any interest in trading, yes, it would run better. Some people are just running the 7 Forex majors. That is an option. They're highlighted in green here. Some people maybe don't run GBP pairs at all. Some people maybe only run GBP pairs, right? You can do whatever you want. But yes, essentially for any strategy, less charts is going to be faster because you're not using as much resources. And Mara said, perhaps if it runs on MT4 being 64-bit, it would run faster. Mara, there are some advantages to MT5. There are some disadvantages that are advantages in MT4. There's a lot of things, but I do believe, as we grow and scale, that we also will start to explore some MT5 options as well as even optimizing some current softwares for MT5, but that is down the road. Right now, many brokers still only support MT4, but I do know that more and more brokers are beginning to support MT5, and as more options for brokers become available for MT5, I'm sure just as well many of our software developments will as well. All right. Andre said, if you have any open trades, can you choose a new strategy or do you have to close the old trades? The old trades are still managed by software. Correct. You do not need to close any open trades to change your strategy. As you see, I've left these open and I've changed my strategy numerous times. Not a problem. It'll continue to manage those. All right. I believe that we don't have any other questions here. So if anyone has any last questions, thoughts, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to do a recap of the upcoming week real quick so that you guys know what's coming up, what red folder events, how to handle your trading accounts for the upcoming week and my thoughts on it. But if you guys have any last questions, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, we're going to go right into this upcoming week here and get right into it. So I don't see any new questions. So let's get into the Forex Factory here. And let's update it and let's take a look at this week. And this week seems pretty, how would I say, kind of normal, not really too exciting, right? We got the 5th through the 9th, and we can really take a look at that now. We go into later in the week, we're going to get into Thursday. We finally get a little red folders. We see some Euro red folders. I know some people have been mentioning Euro USD. This is a big watch event. If you are in any drawdown, remember you have your risk management features, you have your notifications of drawdown, and if you ever want it to stop taking new trades but continue to manage your existing trades, you have your balance protection setting. That setting does not close trades. The balance protection simply will just stop taking any new trades when that level of drawdown is reached. But other than that, you see it seems to be a pretty clear week with just a lot of yellow folder stuff, nothing too crazy, a few orange folders. You see one CAT event here on rate statements on Wednesday, but it's not looking like a crazy week like this one. This last week we went through, there was a lot more red folder news coming up. Mariska did say the UK Euro deal and Brexit could cause some huge movements in the market. I would agree with that. Anytime we're discussing Brexit, I've seen Brexit do some incredible things to the market. So again, if you're playing with any of the Euro pairs, be advised, as Mariska mentioned, we do have some Brexit news coming, and I would definitely take a look at that and make sure that you are protecting yourself, in which case, for Euro pairs, maybe you might want to increase your gear entry. Maybe you might want to eliminate some of the Euro pairs or even GBP, because I'm sure that Euro and GBP stuff will definitely have a correlated effect. So definitely take a look at that and maybe increase those pairs on the Euro pairs or try to get out of your GBP. And for anyone who's in GBP, let's hope that with everything coming up this week that we get a nice swing in the proper direction and not hold any more drawdown than need to. But again, you guys have your risk management features. You understand your risk. You have all the strategies you need so that you can go ahead and, have peace of mind if something does go against you. And just to review all your proper risk management settings, as I think it is important always when people do experience a higher than normal drawdown for a strategy. You are going to want to go ahead and make sure your balance protection is active if you're using it. This is going to be an amazing feature for you because if you hit 25% drawdown, it will stop taking any new trades. My thought process here is that if you have 75% of your equity still in the game, then you can withstand some moves without deploying any new exposure to the market, which is quite brilliant as most softwares will continue to attempt to mathematically cost average, hedge, or do whatever they want to do to get out of those trades, which sometimes can put you at more risk. Here, we're giving you the chance to let the other 75% of your equity be a buffer to withstand a move without taking any more lot exposure to the market. As well, you have your balance protection mode. This operates similar to balance protection, but based on your balance. This means that if you ever take a loss below your initial deposit, let's say you deposit $10,000 and you take a $1 loss and your balance is $9,999, it's immediately going to stop trading. It is also going to protect your balance against any unnecessary losses. Now, it won't close out trades. These features, again, don't close trades. They are simply just in order to stop taking any new trades and only manage and modify existing trades. If you're looking for the way to have your max equity risk where it closes trades and you say, you know what, I'm a conservative investor. If I'm ever down 20%, just close it out, then you could do that. and that would be your max equity risk here. By default, it's at 100 because we believe in using these other features instead of closing losses. But again, that's all up to personal preference. You can change this to whatever you would like. So again, you can do that. Just decide how you want to manage your risk. If you were to ever lower this, just update your notifications and draw down your balance protection to match it. Meaning if you were to change your max equity risk to 20%, I would change my balance protection to kick in at 10%. Right? That way I have another 10% buffer for it to withstand before it would ever even close out my trade. So if any of that makes sense, and all of this is reviewable inside of the EA Academy, for those of you who want to review it, but I'm going to check. Oops, I didn't mean to stop sharing screen. That's probably how that happened the first time. I'm going to go ahead and check these last messages here inside of our chats. And if there is not anything else, let's see. Luke, I see you sent me something here. I'm not sure I necessarily understand what you're saying. If you go ahead and just put a support ticket in, the team will get it forwarded to me so I can go ahead and review your account, because I'm not sure I necessarily understand what you're saying there. So just go ahead and submit a support ticket and give a visual, and my team will forward it to me, and I'll be able to log in your account. And again, if any of you guys ever have any technical questions, support is incredible. And, and we're continuing to work through the technical side. I've been hiring as well my own, assistant that I've been working with hands-on with to answer technical questions. So again, anytime you guys have any questions, feel free to put support tickets in. We try to be there very quickly to help you guys. But with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you're tuning in from. I know there's other calls about to start very soon. So with that being said, have a great weekend, everybody. And I look forward to getting you guys a new version of GearBox and a new loader, hopefully this weekend. Have a wonderful day, everyone.